Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough, and we are doing a WYR forging that is also just kind of a sit and hang out and paint, because I'm cranking through some models, and I hope that you'll join me for that. So with me is a special guest, Jack from Rerolling Ones.
Hey everybody, good to see you again. Well, I
What
can't
up?
see you, but hi.
Good to imagine that you exist again. And yeah, we're just going to cover a bunch of random stuff tonight, questions that I don't know, people ask us sometimes, and I don't know, let's put it into a concise episode for you. So let's kick off with what we're painting, because that tends to make the most sense. Jack, what are you painting tonight?
My Knight Azeros. He's really cool. I like him. I don't know if you can see that in the light, but I've already pretty much finished his wings, and they're actually magnetized. I go on him like that. And yes, I'm working on it because he is essential to any Stormcast army, because he no longer just re-rolls shooting hit rolls of 1. He just re-rolls ones to hit. So he is a must for any shooting order army, but now just at 100 points, 3-up save, 5 wounds. He doesn't do too much as far as melee damage. I think it's just 1 damage, 3's to hit, 3's to wound. I believe maybe 4 or 5 attacks. But he does have a once per game ability. If you use it, every enemy unit within 8 inches takes D3 mortal wounds in your hero phase, and if they're chaos, it's D6 mortal wounds. So I like him. He's a good guy. I don't know if that was pretty long-winded, but that's what you do.
No. I think I was trying to remember. I played against. Well, obviously I played you at the last event, but the TO I played in the last round too was the ringer. He had a Knight of Zeros, and don't they have like a once per game like super shot, right? That you were just talking about?
No, that's the Knight Venator.
Venator, okay.
It's the same kit, but
that's okay. That's why I got confused. Okay.
And one is the Lantern guy.
Okay, right on. That's cool. For me, as you can see, I am furiously painting 10 more gore to come up with a 1,500 point list, so that I can feature on Rerolling Ones tomorrow. Not sure when the episode will go up, but tomorrow I'll be playing.
We are recording tomorrow. Yes.
So super pumped for that. I don't know. I kind of hit a funk over the last weekend and didn't get a whole lot accomplished. I did the Shaggoth, what do you call him? Thunderscorn Shaggoth dude. Dragon Ogre. There we go. And that was really it. He looks super cool. I like him.
He looks Scottish. I like him.
Very regal. But yeah, he turned out well. He's actually one of my favorites of the model line. I'm a little torn. Like, I need to crank through heroes so I can start playing with the army. However, my vision later on is to have kind of like my Slaves to Darkness, for like all the troops are generic, but I customize and kit bash every single hero.
Yes.
So for right now, like the ones I have, they were all pre-assembled by someone else. Because I got a lot from Brent, I got another lot from another dude at the swap meet. So I don't have much of a choice. I'm like, I'm not gonna break them to remake them, so I'll just paint what I have and then do something more creative going forward.
Understood.
Yep. So basically, we have a few planned topics we're going to dive into, but in between those topics, if there's kind of a pause, I will open up to questions in the chat. And if you've been following along, you know the drill, where you just type question in all caps, so this way I can actually see it. And we will hop in from there. So first topic that we are chatting about, let's see here. I got your list you sent me. What's your favorite model of all time?
All-time model.
Yeah.
I know I have a favorite all-time. I really love the Juan Diaz Demonettes, and there's definitely several different models in there. But that's a good question. After painting one, I'm really into the Bloodthirster kit.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did a fantastic. All the Greater Demons so far have been fantastic. I'm looking forward to the Keeper of Secrets. But as far as old school, Juan Diaz Demonettes, and I'll go with the Bloodthirster.
Bloodthirster, I dig that. The Bloodthirster is a high contender for me, but mine actually, while you were chatting, I leaned over to the shelf and grabbed him. My Glocken.
Oh yes, that's a beautiful model.
Oh yeah, I love the Glocken. It was the first large model I ever painted when I left Warhammer, like many moons ago, the largest thing I painted was a Bretonnian knight. It's like one dude on a horse. And as people know, I always wheel and deal with painting people's armies and then, I don't know, trading armies, that kind of stuff. And someone was like, you know, you can have this Glocken as payment for something, but it's you know, not a full payment because he's missing the tabard on his butt. Like he's supposed to have this flag that covers his, I don't know, acts like a mud flap for his butt. And I was like, yes, I will accept that at the low cost of missing one piece that I don't really care about. So
that is a great job.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's more. It was fun because it got me to paint just a whole bunch of cool effects. Like I experimented with Nurgle's Rot and technical paint, which is amazing. I don't know, transitioned that green into purple. I love it. It was just a good, super good tutorial for all those things. So, and it came out right when I was getting into the game because I was about end times.
I have a question for you, Doug.
Yeah, what's up?
I'm not sure if you've covered this topic. How did you get into wargaming? Because I can say, like this guy right here behind me is my older brother, Josh, everybody.
Hey, Josh.
I was 9 years old when I started playing Warhammer Fantasy Battle. And I'm 37 now, so I've been playing a while. And only reason I got into it is because he needed somebody to play against. And so that's how I got into Warhammer. So how did you get into it?
Yeah, so I liked building models as a kid, just like World War II. Like I remember my favorite model when I was a kid was a helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
And I like building those. Well, my grandma knew that, and there was a game store going out of business. And my grandmother, being so sweet and not knowing what any of this stuff was, saw huge discounts on stuff. So she grabbed a set of models, and it turned out to be one was the old school box of Chaos Warriors, and the other one was the old school Bretonnian Knights. And I had no idea they were part of a game, but I painted them up and then started seeing more of them locally because there was a game shop near me. So then, yeah, I kind of got plugged in a little bit when I was really young, but you know, everything was so expensive. I was like maybe 10 or 11 at the time. Like there was just no way I was going to get into Warhammer back then. But so the kind of seed was planted there to like play games with models, and then that was basically it. I walked away from it. I held on to those models for a long time, and then when I graduated college and Jess was still in school, we both decided that I need a hobby before I went insane. And because I just worked a lot. And I was like, you know what? When I was a kid, I really liked building models. So I went to Hobby Lobby and bought some World War II stuff. And then when I was looking for painting tutorials to get better at it, I stumbled upon Mini Wargaming's Guide to Painting Miniatures. And I was like, okay, forget the World War II stuff. What the hell is that? And it was a Warjack from War Machine. And got connected with a wargaming group nearby. Started playing War Machine and Hordes for several years. Got competitive with it, and then transitioned over to fantasy when I started to like the story stuff more.
Would you say you're a better War Machine player or a Age of Sigmar player?
Ooh, I was probably a better War Machine player.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I can say in the year I've known you, you've gotten better at Age of Sigmar. I mean, I've gotten better. If you're not getting better, kind of.
No, totally. I think I'm getting better, but something about the way that War Machine and Hordes calculates stuff like stat lines and stuff like that. So instead of everything being rolling more and more dice, it's like numbers can go up to 15 or 20 for attacks and defense and stuff like that. I don't know, they just calculate things differently. And for some reason, that different kind of math just worked in my head better.
Oh, interesting. Do you still own any of the original Bretonnians and Chaos Warriors?
I don't, actually. We moved from New Jersey to Texas when I was a kid, and a bunch of stuff got damaged and waterlogged, and that was part of it.
Interesting.
It's a real bummer. I mean, every once in a while I look to see if there's like one of those kits on eBay, like, oh, I could redo it, you know, just for nostalgia reasons. But turns out everyone who likes Bretonnia already owns all the Bretonnia, so.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
So yeah, that is my that is the genesis of 2+0. Let me see here.
What about you, Josh? What's your favorite model?
Oh, I had already answered that.
Demon Slayer. Okay.
My old school Demon Slayer, the one I painted.
Nice.
But now I would have to say it's the Forge World model.
his favorite model right now is the Dread Saurian. Right.
It is literally a house cat size.
Which is a fun model. It does a lot of damage, but luckily enough for me, it's susceptible to shooting.
I love it. All right, I'm gonna pause it here and open up to chat for questions because we're kind of in between topics here. How do you say your name? Tice Boost is 2 start collecting Beasts of Chaos boxes. A good start for match play. Vanguard detachment. We don't have Vanguard detachments in AOS. That's a 4K thing. Is it good for a 750 point game? I mean, it's a great way to start the faction. I don't know if I would necessarily go that way for a specific 750 point game because your Gorgons are going to account for almost 400 points of that. I mean, if I would say yes, I think it's a good start to the faction. I'll just answer that way. It's a great start to the army. I would say I lean towards Ungor Raiders because the shooting is nice and they're actually really good at it, relatively speaking.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sitting here.
Very nice in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I say shooting is good while I'm talking to someone who has a shooting Stormcast army that literally deleted my entire army during 2 turns. So it's relative, but I mean,
I think people overreacted to Lookout Sir and not being able to shoot out of combat because shooting, it's almost like, so you get your normal attack and you get to attack in the shooting phase. So it's like you get an attack and a half compared to somebody who can't shoot, who just gets 1 attack. And you can shoot over bubble wrap, which is huge. If you couldn't shoot past units, shooting would not be as good. But considering you can just shoot over stuff, even if there's stuff in the way, it's
that's a good point.
You do need that stuff.
Kinsey says, question, I am planning a kit bash of Celestine and a Knight Zeros. Should I magnetize the wings or swap between systems or stick with one pair? How hard was it to magnetize those wings, Jack?
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really easy to magnetize the wings. And that's a great idea. That's a beautiful model. And yeah, giving her a lantern, boom, that adds rose.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I think it's a sweet idea. I don't think you'd have to do a whole lot to make it work. I think, honestly, I don't think 40K players necessarily competitive ones like it, but most things work in both systems. I'm just going to say it. Like, Stormcast make fantastic, what do you call them? What's the thing that Mark has? The gold, Custodes. Custodes, there you go. You know, it's all the same. It's whatever.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about that too much. Question, why are demons more expensive in AOS than 40K? I assume you mean points-wise, because it's the same kit. As far as points.
Oh, sorry, it's a whole new game. Like it's like comparing apples to oranges. It's like
yeah, it's hard because it is an entirely different game system. Part of it is in 40K there are so fewer ways to bring them on the table, and I mean, so here's the thing: when you talk about points, right? You're not just talking about demon units. You're talking about Khorne Bloodbound and Slaves to Darkness. All those things are factored into when they balance all these things out. And there's, I don't know. There's a lot more balancing things. They are apples to oranges. Jackson nailed it.
Well, they're easier to kill at 40K.
I'll give you that.
Last cannons.
You don't even need to try that hard. Yeah, I do feel like they are easy to kill in 40K. That's a good point. trying to think of what I'm trying to think of, like all the stuff that makes it like unique. So like there's heck, just the blood tithe ability in AOS is vastly unique than anything that 40k offers for Khorne right now, which is a shame. Yeah. Let's see here. Hunting for a paint. Here we go. Let's see. Question. All right, we're gonna hop into another topic. We're still getting people on our feed. All right, so I'll go first on this one because I feel like we should just alternate. But what exactly is narrative play? Because you asked that, and I hadn't thought about that being a legitimate question.
Yeah, it's a question. Like people talk about narrative play, and I know I like stuff that's not really super competitive. And in my mind, I can be like, well, it's fluffy. If I want to take a non-optimal unit just because I like it, or for some reason like that, that's more narrative to me, just because it goes with the theme of my army. Yeah. But what exactly is narrative play? It's something I never looked into.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's great. It's kind of a I don't like these kinds of things, but it's kind of a situation where like it's kind of whatever you want it to be. So I guess when I think about narrative play, what I'm saying is your goal to find out who's the better general within a situation that has been constructed to be as fair as possible? I think that would be match play. If your mutual goal, however, is to tell a story about an encounter based on the fiction presented to us by G-Dubs, I think that falls in a narrative. And I like that I want to keep it that broad because we play narrative stuff, but it all has points. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think it has to be no points or points are only for match play. I think that's false. That would be... That's my gut response, is that you're using the tools and the stuff that you have, and you can do that through your list design, so making a fluffy list, or it could be through the scenario, or
like scenario play. So if like your mission is to have this unit escape, is that more a narrative game then? Instead of like I want to hold these objectives, like doing a match play like Star Trek or something, but I need to get this unit here because they have medical supplies for the hospital by turn 4, and you're like chaos and you want to stop me. Is that like a narrative kind of thing?
Sorry, I would say so, because having medical supplies and me trying to like stop you, those aren't game mechanics, right? We artificially created those to give us a reason for this interaction.
Okay.
Which is what I would define a story as. Does that make sense?
Yes, I get it. And so like a narrative campaign would be like, all right, I'm going to name all my characters and maybe my units, and we'll go through different missions, and maybe you can implement a system to make this character better, or maybe he goes from being a knight Azros into being Lord Relictor or something like that, but he's the same character.
Yeah.
Like you can say, oh, he has -1 to his movement because the last game he got his arm lopped off or something. Or that wouldn't really affect your movement, but you get it.
He runs faster on his right side now.
He's lighter, so he can run faster.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
That's funny.
I would definitely like to do a narrative campaign.
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly love to. I'm kind of brainstorming how I want to do that right now, because I'm more drawn into like the battle reports that are a lot shorter. If you've ever seen the Frontline Gaming ones, I really like those, where they're like 20-minute stories.
Yeah, I really like your skirmish battle that you did. It's one of your earlier videos.
Yeah, it's pretty much a carbon copy of those. Yeah,
like forever to do it, and I really like to do a skirmish campaign. Me, you, and Mark talked about it. Marcus Shue. From Rerolling Ones, because they're like the places we record at are my apartment and Shu's house. And since you have a new setup at your apartment, doing like my house is Akshi, your house is Chamon, and his house is Garan, and doing different recording and do a campaign over both channels. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, dude. Nerd cinematic universe. I was gonna say I don't know what we would call it. We don't have a unified name, but
Yes, we need to, that's what anybody in the chat think of a name of combining 2+ tough and rerolling ones.
that's
in
right.
one super channel.
2+ rerolling ones. That'd be awesome. I love it.
Question in the chat: is rerolling ones got any sort of narrative stuff in the works? Oh, well, you just heard us. Hopefully, we plan to, and yeah, it just takes us to pull the trigger. Actually, I know we're gonna try to record 2 games tomorrow, and Doug and Shu are both coming over, and we'll chop it up and get this rolling. Hopefully by in February. It's tentatively planned to start this campaign.
Totally. And one thing I want to add, because it doesn't get talked enough, but like narrative doesn't necessarily mean like everything like you don't have, it doesn't just mean campaigns. You can just have one game where you're like, this is the story to see if the Sylvaneth can reclaim this part of the forest from Magakin, and that's it. It can be a self-contained thing. And the reason I point that out is because like not everyone digs campaigns, or like where they have to like follow along with what's been going on to keep up.
True, and it's like it can be samey because you see the same army over and over. But like it's like our Path to Glory. I really loved our Path to Glory, but by the 5th or 6th week, it was like some people were losing their interest in it.
Yep.
Shoot, excuse me.
Some people were real Debbie Downers about it. Mark. It was good. I was the same way, but that was more because of travel time and stuff.
2+1s. I like that for the game, for the name. 2+1s.
I like it.
There's also we got 6+ save, 3+ on rerolls, but I like 2+1s.
2+1s.
Rerolling tough.
That's funny.
So what about narrative being just a game where you can kind of make your own rules? That's kind of my interpretation of it.
That's totally fine. I mean, that's why I say it's super open.
And what Jack said, but people can add their own rules to it. Because how they did with what was that, Krampus?
No. Well, good luck with Age of Joshmar. I will stick to this game.
Age of Weedmore.
No, I think narrative stuff. I guess kind of what I'm thinking of is like open play is just do whatever you want. I mean, there's literally nothing. There's nothing. It is structureless, I guess, in that sense, which is good for like tutorials and some people like just showing up on game night and having fun. That's cool. When I think narrative, like like you say, making up your own rules. If it's to tell a story or move a narrative or give reasons for stuff, like that's awesome. I mean, the narrative section of the General's Handbook is just a bunch of random rules that they made up that you can use or not use. Mm-hmm. So I think you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to pause right quick and open it up to questions in the chat. If you have one, go ahead, shoot it at us. I have it pulled up here too.
I think I have it almost fixed.
Rerolling Doug's, I like that.
No, veto that. Not enough Jack in that name.
Okay. What state are you guys in? We're over in Washington State, the Great Pacific Northwest, which is sort of a black hole of events and stuff like that. I mean, there's no major conventions, is what I'm saying. There's events.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of that, like Vince on Warhammer Weekly, I think his pick of the week this week was a tournament in Vancouver on Easter weekend, and I seeing that because we are like, if you look at a map, we are in a corner. Like by ourselves. There's like an hour and a half north, maybe hour north, and so I'm going to go to that tournament. Yes, hopefully I can make it. But yeah, I plan on taking rerolling ones international.
That is legit.
Clearly, they don't believe in Jesus in Canada, having stuff on Easter.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. Like, I feel like that's harder to like. It's not so much that like gamers would care about Easter. I mean, I go to church. And I don't care about Easter, but like more like families, right? Like, I feel like it's harder to convince the wife and mother-in-law that like I'm just gonna go hang out with a bunch of other people. Bye.
Yeah, it's okay. You can come. You'll be bored.
Yeah, I can teach you how to play, and then
Yeah.
you're pushing the Age of Sigmar rule book, and she's pushing divorce papers, whatever.
Yeah, pick your battles.
We got a question for you. With second edition, is it still a good investment to grab the old Blades of Corn battle tome?
Ooh, I think no, because I think Khorne will be one of the armies that gets a new book if the rumors are true, and that they're going to redo all the books that from the first round of books that came out. And so I would hold off on it because maybe 6 months there might be a new one, and you can always go through the app, and you can purchase stuff through there. But just to get the new book, I would hold off on it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if you're interested in story and art, you can get the first the Khorne Bloodbound battle tome for dirt cheap on eBay. Like if that's something that interests you, there's better ways to get it than buying the current one.
It's due for an update.
Totally. On that note, like I think seeing the Flesh Eater Court stuff has definitely lended, I think, more credibility to that rumor for sure.
Yes. Beautiful.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Yes, I was going to see if Mark wanted to split that because I have a Flesh Eater Court's army. Like
yeah,
I have like two, but they're not painted at all. But it's a cool army. I like the idea. I like the delusions and the story behind them. They're a very fluffy army, and and so I could definitely see picking that up and splitting it with a Skaven player. And I'm just excited for Skaven players in general. Though that box coming out definitely showed them that there's hope in the near future.
Totally. Yeah, I look at that and I think I curse myself because there's multiple times I've held my finger over the buy button for a Flesh Eater Court force. If for no other reason, I had this emotional attachment because one time many moons ago I made a video saying that they were the best army in the game, and I stand by that at the time. I don't think that anymore, but there's this part of me that's like, I'm gonna get this and I'm gonna beat Jack and I'm gonna show him this is the best freaking army in the game.
I'm not that attached to my Flesh Eater Court's army.
Say what?
I'm not that attached to the army. I'm willing to part with it.
Wasn't your boys?
Yeah, I'm trying to get him into the game, and it's not going that well.
Okay.
So
cool. Not for everyone.
We're not too attached to it. I'll try again in a couple months.
There you go.
I love the hint of it being where Bretonia went.
So yeah, definitely. If fans of Bretonia, they can see it in Flesh Eater Courts.
Yep. Yeah, if I was going to do them, it would be one of those armies where I spent a lot of time converting and making nice elaborate banners and just going nuts with that stuff.
It'd be interesting if you played Flesh Eater Courts, but used Bretonian models and just told your opponent, this is how they view themselves, and you're trapped in their delusion. And so maybe like Men-at-Arms could be ghouls and crypt. I mean, just put them on the right base, but have Grail Knights as your like crypt flares or whatever.
Yep.
And that would be interesting.
I mean, I would absolutely love to play an army like that. The only concession I would make is maybe have something like a marker or something next to them where it has what they are supposed to be for quick reference. But like, maybe. I think that's a super cool idea. I mean, because nothing else, like, whether people like they allude to it being Bretonia-esque, they never actually say it, but like those models are exactly what they think they are, and that's awesome.
Whoever makes that, just give me credit.
Exactly. Copyright. Let's see here. Oop. I'm just following up on the comments here. Yeah, I was thinking about it. I don't think a lot of the first wave of battle tomes, I don't think they need much to be updated. I mean, like that hero for Flesh Eater Courts, like, is awesome, and I think the faction, if it had a more updated written book, I won't say better written book, but with the new design focus they have going forward that we learned about in the interview with Sam Pearson, I think it could be a contender. And, I don't think they're going to sweep the meta because they have fewer options in Stormcast, but I don't think they need much, is my point.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of feel the same way about Ironjaws.
Yeah, I remember this was a rumor, like, again, if you take stock in rumor like towards the beginning of the end of last year, like around September, October, that Ironjaws were supposed to get some additional models. And seeing that they're doing that with Flesh Eater Courts and Skaven, it kind of leads credence to that. Like, they would get new models if they got a new book or a re-release. And I think Ironjaws definitely need new models.
Yeah. Yep.
Not new models, but more models, like more units in the army.
I think they need more options. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't know. One of my favorite things, well, Flesh Eater Courts is a great example of this, is where they didn't make new models, but they made new options by like saying, like, hey, here's how you kit bash the Crypt Flayer kit to be I don't know, the big guy who's walking around with big fists. I can't remember what they're called. Crypt Flayer and, oh my gosh. Whatever the
Vargeist?
Yeah, well, it's the same box, but they kit bash into two different things. They both have Crypt in their name because...
Crypt Horror?
Yeah, Crypt Horrors and Crypt Flayers. That's what it was. That was really hard for me, guys. So I'll just take a minute and appreciate me. So, thank you, Scott, in the chat for pointing that out. So, yeah. I don't know. I want to see stuff like that. Like, I want to see all different kinds. Like, get me more units that have more special rules. But even from the same kit, I wouldn't care. Like, that'd be just fine with me.
All right, I'm done with my steel. Now I need to bring out my Retributor Gold.
Sweet. Let's see. So, one of the things you wrote down in a possible suggestions for speech is making bat reps.
Yes, because I know you're going to start making bat reps. Like, what steps have you taken? Because Shu from Rerolling Ones, he, I guess there's a mini wargaming video, like how to make bat reps.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something he watched. He had us watch, and we kind of just have a formula where we decide what we talk about what we're going to do, like before we take our turn. Like, so the hero phase, we go over it before we start recording what we're going to do. All right, then we record us doing it, and then and so on for the movement phase. Now, a lot of bat rep channels don't record like the movement phase. We actually do. We'll jump ahead if we're moving 30 skinks. Never mind. There's no Seraphon on the channel, so something else. 30 goblins, and we'll start with the first one. We'll do a cut, and then it will just show us moving the last one. Now, do you plan on like skipping the movement phase? Have you thought exactly how you're gonna what formula are you going to use to record your bat reps?
I want to do something like that. I think, frankly, copying you guys is a good first step, just like you copy mini wargaming, because it means I can do stuff and ask questions, which is important to me. Like having someone who can kind of walk me through a few things or get some tips for that. I think that's cool. As far as the kind of content that I want to do, I'm torn because the bat reps that I like most online are the frontline gaming narrative ones where it's like a short 12-minute video. And it's very curated. And the problem is that it doesn't actually require two people. Because it's just one person who can do the whole thing, but you're telling a story. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
That's interesting.
So, but again, it's one of those things where it's like, well, I don't need anyone, but at the same time, it's like, well, the whole reason I want to do this is I can invite people over and do this kind of crap with me.
I think it'd be like what you'd want to offer. Like I think a lot of our bat reps, like it's a bat rep, but it's also like a group of friends having fun. And I think people tune in for both, like not only just the bat rep, but also just the personalities and interactions that we have, the camaraderie, the banter is another thing. I think people tune in for us. But it's interesting. Like, what do you want to give them? Because I think what sets you apart from other like lore videos and YouTube, like it's also you get to become friends with Doug. You is like that's why when I first met you, like, oh, this guy, he's puts himself into his videos. This is what he looks like. You're not some mysterious person behind the camera. Like, this is my wife. This is my hobby.
That's a solid point.
It was. I don't remember what I said.
What?
I don't remember what I said.
I got so swept up. Yeah, I think what I'm really considering doing is just having different formats. So like when I say narrative, I mean my kind of thing where it's very short, sweet, tells a quick story. But I do think, I don't know if you ever listened to a War Machine and Hordes podcast. What's it called? Chain Attack?
No.
Okay. They had this ongoing thing they called Grudge Match where like it would be, hey, we've been playing some fun games lately, but now we're gonna like take the boxing gloves off and like kick each other's faces in. And so with that kind of format, like having a grudge match game is like, okay, now we're going to do a more traditional battle report where I go over in detail why I did these specific things.
I think that's really cool. Like, as I like just explaining why you like what you want to do or why you did something. I actually want to like try implementing that in one of the bat reps.
Yeah, I mean, so one thing I saw for War Machine and Hordes that I absolutely loved was I can't remember the channel. It was just two Australian guys. They didn't upload much, but basically they would do their turn, and then after their turn, their opponent would leave the room because it was a tiny apartment, and the one guy would record on his camera. This is what happened, and this is what I intended to happen. This is why I did X, Y, Z. We'll see how it pans out. And so the entire time you're learning with them, like.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I definitely want to do that.
And so many of the I just learned this week apparently that so many of the people who watch my stuff are newer. That video about start mastering your army is actually one of the most popular videos I've done in the last 2 years. So doing that kind of stuff of like, hey, not just here's what I'm doing, but here's why I'm doing it for educational reasons.
Good point.
I'm an edutainer, education and entertainer. Kenzie says maybe there could be a narrative summary sort of game and then extend full version showing the game and so like do a full battle report and then splice that down to being a shorter story one. That's totally possible.
Yeah.
It's something you have to remember though when you're recording because you want I guess the shots wouldn't be too terribly different. The thing is like it's a lot of like director stuff. Like, what dice rolls do I record? What you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. Like,
I think one of the I'm not a huge fan of rolling boxes, and one of the my favorite things about bat reps is dice rolls, and so that'd be a big thing. Like, which ones do we record and which ones not? Because dice rolls are like the chance. They're like, oh, he rolled a 6. And he rolled 2 6s in a row, and he needed that exact thing to happen in order for this to happen, and it brings that excitement and that rush.
Totally, I get that.
What kind of bat reps you're gonna have?
I have no idea. I mean, I think honestly, I think I want to do both. I don't want to limit myself.
Oh, no, I wasn't like taking a shot at you. I'm just
Oh
glad.
no.
The question.
No, I totally get that. I never felt that way.
Okay.
I'm just gonna frankly see what sounds more fun when I'm doing it, so I don't get burnt out. So look forward to a whole bunch of random crap as I learn how to do this stuff, everybody.
Like, when you go back, and it's funny going back and like watching some of our first bat reps, you can tell we were so nervous and just scared of the camera and just so monotone. Like, I wrote scores. Like 3 guys dead.
This is my 1,500 points of Slate to Darkness. They are cool. I painted them.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah. Smash that like button and subscribe.
On your Patreon. Whoop, I need motorcycles, and it turned into the whole thing.
Let's see. Mogwai Man says, can you do faction guides in the future? Can you explain what you are looking for in that? Because I'm curious. I'm intrigued by what you say. The answer is no, but like only because I hadn't thought of what you're describing. So go ahead and tell me what you're thinking, and I'll tell you if it's something I can do. Cinderfall Gaming, learn from mistakes. I like a lot of mini wargaming stuff, but they just don't seem to learn much from rules mistakes or read the comments. The thing about mini wargaming, to give them a minor defense, is that when they do the mistakes, some of them are understandable, some of them are less. I'm less forgiving on. Just like, you just didn't read the book. It's cool. It's whatever, But some of the nuanced stuff, like in 40K, I totally get. The thing is that from the time you see the video and you make a suggestion like, hey, you rolled that wrong, or you're misunderstanding that rule interpretation or something like that, they've already made 3 weeks of other battle reports done with that rules interpretation. So like, it takes just shy of a month to actually see those suggestions evolve and filter in if they are wrong, and no one catches it in the meantime. Which, on one hand is, when your whole company is based on producing that much content, you have to have that kind of schedule to be able to, make sure you can pay your employees. It does stink. It legitimately does stink.
And like one of our goals for rerolling ones when we started, like our mission statement, if you will, was like, to get the rules, we'll be the channel that gets the rules right. And that lasted about 2 weeks. It's like it's not hard. It's just, especially when you're trying to get new armies in, like, okay, they don't want to see me play Slanesh and Khorne over and over again. I got to learn this other thing. And so we definitely had more sympathy for the guys at Mini Wargaming, as far as like messing up and realizing, and you just feel like crap, like, oh no, because it's like, the game isn't worthless, but it pretty much is, because you're not playing Age of Sigmar. You're playing Age of Sigmar like with a caveat, like with this, it's like it goes from match play to open play or narrative play. It's like, so a lot of times it's not, they don't mean to mess up a rule. It's just like, and like you said, they have to be on the next one. They can't beat themselves up about it. And they've got too much stuff to pump out.
Totally. And another part is, I will say that presenting something and presenting it in front of people are two different things.
Yeah.
So like, maybe they get that rule right every single time. They're just chilling with their buddies. But the second you put a camera on someone, you just instantly become 10 points dumber. You're just like, "Bruh." You know what I mean? It just happens.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. Not much to avoid with that. You just gotta get comfortable with the camera, and then obviously a lot of those guys, they do quite a few. Like, I think most of them play mini games. And then you're introducing the idea of like getting rules wrong because you're drawing stuff from 40K. I mean, like we had a guy in this chat right now. What's a Vanguard attachment? It doesn't exist. Like, but I understand why you think that it might.
And also, like, they also play and hold the camera. Like, we have the luxury of everybody who pretty much plays, like, knows how to record.
Yep.
To varying levels, obviously. I'm not the best. And so it's like you can actually function. Like, you can play without having to worry about and read stuff through the lens and trying to pick up dice while you're holding the camera.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, the last battle report I was in with with Mark. He was beating himself up because he made a whole bunch of rules, but he wanted to learn how to hold the camera and play at the same time. It's like it's hard, you know.
Definitely, I haven't done it.
Your brain is already like strapped. So let's hop into the questions here. What battle tome would you like to see next personally? And is there one that would make you throw other models in the trash because of the hype, like Shu?
I'm Slanesh. That's my favorite, and so it's definitely this year is happening. So I would like to see it next, but who knows? I'd also like to see Dark Oath. Let Doug get some love.
Yeah, dude. I can't think of anything that would make me throw models in the trash. Basically, my heart and passion is for Chaos Undivided, which both Dark Oath and Beast of Chaos fall into. So they're kind of in the same wheelhouse. I really hope the Dark Oath have Beast of Chaos as allies so I can slow grow.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. There are things I'd like to see some renames, just like Gloomspite gets it combined stuff and renamed it. I don't like the name Dispossessed for a faction. I'd like them to see maybe combine it with something and rename it, just because it's like I don't want to you should be proud of the army play, and I don't want to like name them my army's the homeless. It's just like I'd like to see Dispossessed rename and Free Peoples. Or Free Guild. Just rename it. I'm never a big fan of the name.
Wanderers, more like Founderers. Hey,
yeah, Wanderers is another big one. Just something that you can be inspired by. Like I don't want to play, like I said, Dispossessed. Just of course you'd probably take something like moving the story along, and them finding a home, and they can be something. It's Miller's time. And it could be something.
No, I totally get that. I think for me, if I had to pick, Dark Oath is definitely the biggest one. I want a battle tome that brings Archaon back into Slaves to Darkness. I don't want it to be its own thing. That's the core of my suggestion there. See, suggestion. Maybe don't show the bat rep, just narrate it like an event in the Mortal Realms. I'm not sure I quite understand. Like, just narrate it. So, play a normal bat rep and then just talk about it like it's a story thing. But even then, when you're showing all the dice rolls, there's going to be a lot of long pauses because none of that's story stuff. I'm not quite sure.
I mean, it's just like tell me what happened in the bat rep, show pictures what happened, or look short video clips and just do a fluffy story about it.
Oh yeah,
that's not bad. I've never seen that done. That sounds pretty cool.
They did that with my 40K tournament when I played back in '96.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. They put it in the newspaper.
They had a writer from the military who was there, and he'd walk around the tournament tables looking at the battles and what was going on, and then he would write a story like, the Tyranids came down to the planet and assaulted, and then, I had won that with the Tyranids, and then they said, is there anyone who will stand against the Tyranids? And then somebody came, we're in North Carolina, somebody came up from Georgia to play me in the next tournament because of the story that the guy put along, and it was pretty good.
That's cool.
And that guy, and he beat me. So I won 3 tournaments in a row with the Tyranids, and they put out an all Empire call.
That's really cool.
Anyone?
That's cool.
Let's see. Mogwai Man. So he wants to do reviewing factions by reviewing units and War Scroll battalions. That's something people are interested in. Because would you be interested in a series where I just took a book and looked at the units and War Scroll battalions? I'm not the most tactical person. I'm just straight out set the expectation low, and we'll work our way back up. Tell me your thoughts here.
I think it'd be great. There's, like I pointed out to you, there's a guy named Twin Coot who does that. Because I've been playing this game now since the beginning of 2017, right? Mm-hmm. And so, like, when you jump into this game, like, I remember going to different game stores besides Games Workshop, just local stuff, and I couldn't find anybody playing this game. And I had already bought the box set. I'd spent a couple $100 on models, and all I could think to myself was, did I just throw all this money away? Is anybody even playing this game? And then the internet was such a big, tool. Finding Doug, finding Vince, Ventrella, and Twin Coot was one of the YouTubers that I found, and he would just do these breakdown of like, this is what he can do, and this is what his you can use him for on the tabletop. What is and yeah, he's a good guy. But I think Doug can do it better.
Okay, I'll let everyone else answer. As far as Bustie's Boost, I'm sorry, I just can't understand your name. You were asking if you were ashamed earlier when you asked if there was a Vanguard attachment. No, it was an illustration of that these games are complex, and when you borrow stuff, like GW keeps their games so similar, but just similar enough to ruin your day if you play both of them. So no shame. Let's see here. Someone said, what about Firebelly's Battle Tome? I'd love to see shamanistic fire ogres. That's a stretch. That's a one model becoming an entire faction. That would be cool. That'd be the first of its kind.
I think Tom from Warhammer Weekly wants them to be like Polynesian ogres. So like tikis or trolls from World of Warcraft, kind of like that. If you ever played that game.
I think I've played I played Warcraft, not World of Warcraft.
Well, you are a lucky man. That took the soul out.
Atomic Topher says he wants to buy an army called Smelly Vagrants. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, naming a faction, I didn't seem hard until I tried to come up with a new name for Dispossessed. Because I really struggled.
Yeah, I was trying to come up with one on the fly, and nothing was happening. But something has to be better than Dispossessed. Something like if they found a home.
Oathbound or something.
Yeah, Oathbound. That's not a bad one. Just if they found a place to live, because right now they're dispossessed. And if they maybe conquer a realm or get a strong foothold in the realm, and everybody comes back home.
Possessed.
They need Jerusalem back. Israel.
They got their book of grudges, so.
Yeah. Gotrek's back. Maybe that can be his big part in the story. He helps the dispossessed find a home.
Yeah. Why don't you guys just build tents but bigger? And the whole faction changes. You mean stop moving around so much? Yeah. What? Grudge Takers is a suggestion we got here. I like that one. I'm pretty much down with anything with grudge in it. I think it's a good harken back. Question: could Martian Iron Earth be used on Shattered Dominion base? Oh, like a texture paint on a Shattered Dominion base? Yeah, I did it before. I did it with some of the Slaves to Darkness stuff, which I would show you, but it's all packed away deep in a closet. So
where it needs to be.
Where it needs to, yeah. It's fine. The only thing to worry about with doing texture stuff on the Shattered Dominion bases is that the Dominion bases do some parts of them sit really high, and so if you have texture on them, when you put it next to a model that doesn't have a textured base, it can seem like he's on a platform. But that's literally, if that doesn't concern you, it doesn't matter at all. Ironjaw's lore is sick. Became the biggest and baddest for fighting during the initial Khorne Bloodbound and Stormcast general conflicts. Yeah, dude. Ironjaws are legit.
I would like to see I know. I thought of this when they made a mistake when they printed out all the Start Collecting box, and they had the green skin orcs under order, and I think that would be kind of cool. Like Iron Jaws and Bone Splitters are destruction, and they're so just powerful that they kick the normal orcs out, and they go to order.
I think it'd be cool.
In a lot of the fiction, the orcs, like I know in the audio drama, the orcs and Stormcast fought together, or they fight together in one of them. And in the Age of Myth, they fought together. Yeah, with Gorkamorka and Sigmar teamed up. And so it was like, order orcs.
But so did Nagash, though.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Just messing with you.
Nagash gets killed turn 1.
Exactly. No, I actually, as far as a game design thing, I really do want to see factions that can work for multiple Grand Alliances and have rules for them.
Yes.
Like minor, they don't have to be big things to be different, but like what I really want is humans that can be anywhere and fit on any spectrum. Because we saw in Nagash Undying King that there's just an entire race or tribe, I should say, of humans that like worship and revere Nagash, but they're alive. They're not flesh eater course. They're just people being people. And so I was like,
and they worship Nagash.
Yeah. I mean, and they're good people. They have honor. They're humans, and they dress a lot like, oddly enough, the War Queen, the Dark Oath War Queen. Like they're presented as being Viking-esque.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, man, this is just like 3 different army tropes that they've already created, just blended together. I'm like, I want a book that allows me to do that. That'd be so cool if I could have a free guild army based off of Dark Oath units because they're kind of tribalistic humans that also work for Nagash. That'd be so stinking cool.
That's one of the few Age of Sigmar books that I actually enjoyed after I read it.
Yeah.
It's going to be boring.
That's fair. It's not for everyone. I actually haven't read that. I need to get back into reading more. Yeah. Got super busy at work and I just kind of put a book down. And I had just finished the Gotrek short story. And it kind of sucked the life out of me. I did not enjoy it whatsoever.
That's great. So, I love the audio drama, which was, different than the short story, obviously.
Someone else just pointed out to me on Snapchat that there's a printed version of that. Have you ever? I never saw it come out in print.
Oh, no, I didn't at all. I just got it on the app.
Yeah, that's a huge deal because I really, really hate audio dramas. So, like, being able to read it would be amazing. But, let's see here. I'm losing paints.
Do us all with age.
Here we go. Anyway, so yeah, I think maybe before I give a review of the Gotrek short story, I should read the actual book where they brought him back. I might like it more. I don't know. But if I was going to grade it by its own merits, it's not super hot. Especially coming off of War Queen and the Red Hours, like those are both phenomenal. Let's see here. 2+ stuff. Have you read the Sigmar book by Graham McNeil? You gotta give me more than that. I don't know the name of. I don't really know by authors except for Josh Reynolds, so I'm not quite sure. I may have. In Plague Garden, you read about actual humans living in the realm of Nurgle. Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, because they're everywhere. We adapt. This is cool. That's why humans are awesome in these settings. That's why we need a Free People book.
Are there any, I think, destruction? I can't think of any not like human models that you can, because a necromancer you can play for death. And so there's at least one human model. And of course, Chaos has tons of human models in order. But are there any for destruction?
Human models for, no, I think ogres is the closest thing you got to a humanoid. Which needs to change. That's kind of a cool idea. But you got to put some work into the story to make them not just like corn people for Gur.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, because I was just thinking like big muscular barbarian-esque guys, and I was like, well,
maybe you can make them about honor a lot more.
yeah, oh yeah.
It'd be nice if they made Corn like have a lot more honor stuff rather than just kill, kill, kill like they are now.
Totally.
It would have been humans in destruction if I'd have built that Beast Claw Raider army.
Mm-hmm.
Cinderfall Gaming Heart of Winter is fantastic. The Scourge Privateer, I literally picked that up this morning. I mean, I picked it up to read. I already owned it, so I will be reading that one. That review will probably come out before the Go Trick one, but I'm excited about it. Yeah, I didn't realize it was a Scourge Privateer. I kind of forgot that model line existed for a little while. It was in contention for an army at one point because I just love the Scourge Privateer is the basic dude with a crossbow.
Mm-hmm.
Looks sick. But then when GHB came out and they had the Dread, what are they called? The old Dark Elf stuff with like the spearmen and that kind of junk.
Yeah.
I was like, man, they're a contender. I think there's some real heat in that engine as far as the army goes.
Yeah. I was looking at that too. Are the one I can't remember the name of the army either. Where it was like it has the like cold ones and all that stuff.
Let's see.
Or the sorceresses on dragons and stuff like that, and like the executioners and that. That's a
Darkling Covens. That's who it is.
That's a cool looking army.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think. Thing is, it's very infantry heavy, and I'm already drowning in gore and ungore with my infantry heavy list right now.
Yeah, looking for an elite army next.
Huh?
Looking for an elite army next.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm doing in 40K right now. I'm taking my time. One of my painting goals is to have like an army where every model is painted to my highest standard, and so that's going to be for 40K. Just I don't know, it's a good fun painting project, a little something different. But yeah, I think anything I do for AOS next is going to be a little more elite. Every once in a while, I'm like, I could be a Stormcast player, but then I remember that everyone is a Stormcast player. I'm like, no, I want to be special and unique.
Yeah. I fall in and out of love with Stormcast. It was my first kind of AOS army just because it came in the box.
Right.
And then I kind of fell in love with Khorne for a little while. Then my heart belongs to Slaanesh, but now I'm really digging Stormcast again. Just because I've been playing a lot of tournaments lately. That's why.
Totally.
There's the scene here started picking up, and there's 1 to 2 tournaments a month.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and now I'm actually going to have a fully painted tournament army, that will be my first. Because I can tell you right now, I wouldn't have this many painted models if I didn't have a YouTube channel that I was part of.
It's a good motivator. That's why I'm doing all this so fast.
100%. It's a really good motivator.
Let's see. Question: do you think we'll see different races in Stormcast, like Elf Stormcast, Dwarven Stormcast?
That would be awesome.
I hope so.
I want to see that in Undead first.
Different races in Undead, yeah. I know they had a Dogs of War, I think, unit that had multiple undead things, so you can go online and find some Saurus undead.
Yeah, I remember that kit, and people were like, "This is amazing."
It's cool, but I mean, it doesn't make money probably as much sense logistically for money. When you can just reprint the human ones over and over again.
Totally, yeah. I get that. Let's see. Trying to convince my wife to play a match with me. She loves HeroClix, and we play that just for fun, so I think she'd enjoy AOS as Stormcast. I have the starter box models she could use. What you all think? I think it's a great way to go. I mean, Jess hasn't played AOS with me yet, but we played X-Wing together quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Had a good time with that.
I agree. If advice, don't force her in. If she really doesn't want to play, don't force her to. But if you do get her to play, let her win.
What I would add to that is like a good dungeon master for D&D, a game I've never played. Let me tell you how good dungeon masters are. No, but the idea of yes and is something you hear a lot when people talk about DMs, where if someone shows interest in a specific thing, you go yes and. So, for example, when I was playing with Jess with X-Wing, like she thought it was super funny, and whenever a ship died, she was like, "You have to make an exploding ship sound." So we make this, explosion sounds, and so if that little joke is what made her laugh at that moment, you create a good experience. Every ship makes an exploding sound. You know what I mean? Like, it's just being reactive. So if she shows interest in any part of the game, really dive into that.
You might also have to show some interest in something that she enjoys. A little like, hey, baby, I took you to the, I don't want to say anything sexist, so I'm not going to continue the joke.
I took you to insert favorite place and activity.
Yeah, I was going to say something really wrong, but somewhere where you wanted to go. Like, okay, the theater. We'll take that's a safe subject. Remember, I took you to the theater. So, yeah, it's good.
When I saw Hamilton, least you can do is play a game.
Took you to the dishwasher store. Now let's go play some AOS.
I took my girl to go see Mamma Mia, and now I bought her a Daughters of Cain army.
There you go. That sounds like a fair trade. That's parts of your life that you can't get back, my friend.
Yeah.
That's funny. Do you think GW will go back and add? Sorry. Ooh, breathing something weird. Do you think GW will go back and add more variety to their older Stormcast units, like female options or poses? They're not good at going backwards, but they're really good at making new things that also have new options.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you think, for example, like the Imperial Guard Cadian kit, like a lot of the army is supposed to be in lore female, but the kit does not reflect that in terms of their heads. I mean, they don't really need female bodies because with the big flak armor, it wouldn't matter, but they just don't go back and do those things. Like all I needed is a head swap, basically, but they just don't. So whenever the new Guardsman kit comes out, I'm sure it'll have something.
Yeah, definitely. Like from going forward, you'll see a ton of female models. Well, not a ton. I mean, you'll see a lot more than there were, just because society is changing over the past since 2015, even when this stuff was probably sculpted in 2013 and 14, and so
yep,
like you'll see many more female like models and characters now, which it's a fantasy world. They can be like dogmen or whatever. They can be whatever. Yeah. People say, hey man, there's women don't fight and blah blah blah. Like, this is a made up world. It's like you can't like put your old viewpoint into this fantasy world.
Well, if they can't fight, tell that to the Daughters of Cain.
Yeah, it's like it can be. There's dwarves, there's orcs, there's anything, and you're gonna be upset because you think there's too many female models. Like, really? It's a made up world. Over. Sorry.
W. Meyer says, think GW is willing to go back, just not with models. That's what I mean. We're talking about literal physical model productions. They reference stuff from the old world and go backwards that way all the time. They'll pick something out of the past and dive into it. I just mean like it costs so much in resources to make a new sculpt of a model and a new kit and repackage it and stuff that there's no way.
Question, change topic real quick. The question you asked me the other day, because Doug and I have started playing Total War Warhammer 2, and he asked me, do I think GW would have kept Warhammer Fantasy Battle going if they knew how popular the game would be? And that's a good question in the chat. Do you think AOS would even be a thing if, say, Warhammer Fantasy, but Total War Warhammer came out, in 2012 or whatever. And I think it'd still be going. It'd still be a thing. Because the popularity of declining popularity is why we have AOS.
Mm-hmm.
What about the fact that they got rid of fantasy? That's why so many people jumped over to Total War, wanting to have that fantasy back. That could be part of it too. I played the old ones though, that weren't that good, and I liked it.
Yeah, it was Shadow of the Horn Rat.
That game was amazing.
Oh, man, the controls on Shadow of the Horn Rat were awful.
Yeah, they were.
Played the hell out of that.
Did you beat it?
No.
No, yeah.
They were like,
The controls were off. I beat Dark Omen on the PC, but like that game, the controls were so much better. But I love these.
Shadow Hornet was amazing. Yeah, that was good stuff. For me, what I would probably say is I think the old world needed to change radically. I think, and if they kept the old world, I think the game mechanics became so clunky, they were always going to reset the mechanics. Like, I think we were going to get Age of Sigmar, the game. As far as the lore, probably not. However, I do think they needed to find some way to bring in the more fantastic elements and move away from Tolkien.
Yes.
Like, I think, like the mechanics had to change, but the lore, I think there was a lot of, there are probably more ways to bring things in. I would even be cool if like, the old world was treated like we treat Akshi, and then like a gate opened up and there was other Earths, but they all reflected like a wind of magic. I don't know. There's a bunch of ways to do it. There's just a bajillion ways to do it, but I think there's a good chance that we would have kept the old world in some capacity. Because I mean, I think they know better than anyone that a good video game would do a 180. I mean, when what's it called? I have it here. Dawn of War came out on PC back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
It was a game changer. Like 40K blew up because people were like, "Oh, what's this incredible intellectual property?" And they don't even know that it's connected to this super deep hobby and game and background. And
I wonder if the Warhammer Online video game helped Warhammer Tabletop.
I have no idea. I've become a PC gamer as of 72 hours, so I'm not quite sure.
I didn't like it very much though. That was my favorite online game was Dark Age of Camelot. I played that game for so long, and Ultima Online was pretty fun. EverQuest, of course.
Legit. I've heard good things about all of them.
Yeah, when you're an old man like me, like back in my day, you could kill people and take their stuff, and nobody could do anything about it.
You didn't have training wheel things like
training wheels,
raids.
Get the trophy.
That's super funny.
You have to accept. If I can kill you, you have to click accept. Whatever.
Yeah. I thought the point of murder was that we don't ask permission.
Gotta go drop that all the way, baby.
That's funny. Let's see here. Okay, responses are starting to come in here. Let's see. Some other agreements. The game had to change. Absolutely agree. Yeah. I don't think so. There was more of a problem with Warhammer Fantasy besides the lack of popularity. IP and copyright being one of them. Yeah, I think things had to change. I just don't know if we would have gone that far.
The lore had to be murdered, though. The thing about it is exactly what you said. I agree with it 100%. Like, the game mechanics had to change. I hated the rank and file and restriction of movement, but I started playing 40K. I love fantasy. I just love fantasy way better than sci-fi. But then the freedom of movement just took me away from fantasy, and I went to 40K. And then I like the way that each model can move independently and just had to keep coherency. But when Age of Sigmar came out, then they merged both my loves back together. You know, it was like, okay, I can move like I'm playing 40K, but now I get to play with the models I really enjoy. But then but they murdered the lore. You know, it's like I played Lizardmen who turned into Seraphon, and now we're celestial demons, we're memories of the past, and you know, I mean, it's cool, but you know, I liked it better the other way, you know, but with the game and the mechanics and the models, I still like Age of Sigmar better than Fantasy.
That's legit.
And I think the lore part, you know, is getting better, because at first it seemed like they didn't really care so much. That's why they came out with that bring whatever you want, you know.
Yeah.
They were just throwing it out there, and I was able to get all these beautiful models really cheap because people were just burning them and selling them. I was like, yeah, I'll take them. I don't care if they suck, you know.
Yeah, we cleaned up when we first started AOS.
I could probably field over what?
Going on eBay. We cleaned up because when we started, nobody played this game.
Yep.
I got about 7,000 points of Seraphon now, but only about 1,000 close to being painted.
Maybe.
No, close to being painted. I got it counted up right here.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I was buying stuff at 75% off at a local store because I was like, I know they're going to turn this around, that they're too big to fail. They're going to figure this out, and they did.
75% off. That's
I
crazy.
feel like we bought Apple right when it came out.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Now we're like hipsters. Like, oh, now you're getting into it. Okay. I played back when you had to prance around like you were on a horse if you want to get +1 to hit.
Exactly. I grew this dang beard so I could be a better dwarf player.
Yeah.
You think this is for show? Okay, so I think go back to here. As much as I miss Warhammer Fantasy Battles, I think GW could have waited the extra year or so and saying the AOS from use. Yeah, they could have waited a bit. I get that. Someone interested who says they don't have a deal with Total War for Age of Sigmar. I would love it. We're just talking about fantasy because I just this last weekend upgraded my computer with a video card to be able to play Total War, so I'm very excited about that. Plus, I get to be Tyrion, which is like he's my dude. I did High Elves in Fantasy Battles. Question: do you think such a thing like end times would ever come to 40K? Friend and I were discussing this at work today. I said, heck no, but what do y'all? It did, technically. End Times was a series of narrative campaigns that drastically, when it was done, changed the foundational where you start in the lore. And they did have their End Times. The Fall of Cadia was a part of that. Can't remember the other names of that book in that series. Yeah, Cadia fell apart, and then a warp storm tore the entire universe or galaxy in half, and that's our current setting. So their doomsday scenario was push the lore of 40K, I think, like 150 years forward.
No,
I did not know that. Yeah, I mean, because all the main characters are they're functionally immortal. Like all the Space Marines and the Eldar, like they don't die. So they can do that. But it was something like that. They pushed the lore pretty far forward. But the point of having a narrative campaign and then closing it and then reopening the new edition with a new starting point in the lore, they did the same thing. They just didn't also destroy the Milky Way galaxy like AOS did with the old world.
It wasn't a whole new game restart. All of a sudden, 40K guys, Space Marines are on square bases.
That would be amazing. Oh my god, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, make everybody have to rebase their stuff.
Actually,
yeah.
Sorry,
we think
your heavy bolter is not in firing arc.
Yep. And then there's going to be people who are like, I don't know what they say, man. The round bases, they really didn't accentuate like the real brawniness of the Space Marine. These work so much better aesthetically. Oh, man. Let's see here. Let's see. Gorbachev. I just want to say that I'm grateful for you guys have done so far for this game. With you in this channel and Rerolling One's channel, it's changed a lot in my local area for the better. That's awesome. Cool. I'm so glad it's happening for you. Let's see here. I'm going to hop over to our question list again. And, actually, we're kind of talking about the last thing, which is just the AOS fiction. So, yeah, talking about lore. Do you have a favorite character right now in any of the stories?
Current characters. Like Callus and Toll. I really enjoyed that audio book because when I said let's talk about just the fiction, I think was one of the things. It's like I listened to all the Realm Gate War stuff that they had on the app, and it was like I had to listen to it twice because just like listen to Stormcast preach can be super boring. Like they're very boring characters, and so listen to Vandus and Corgus Cole go at it for a few books, and you're like, and then the Nagash Dying King. That was one of those things that gave me hope. It was like, oh, this is really good. It had the female main character, and she was, she had an interesting story. But as far as the fiction, I hope they come out with models for these guys. But again, they're actually human, and having them, if the story keeps moving forward, like we've gone 100 years since the Realm Gate Wars, like these guys would probably die, but maybe they could come back as Stormcast. That'd be awesome. So I'd have to go. Those two guys are my favorite guys in the fiction. And Ghost Trek, I really enjoyed him coming back.
Cool.
I don't even know who that is.
What about you?
For me, favorite character.
Oh, and Cordell. Cordell's one of my favorites.
Cordell the Unlucky.
Yeah, Cordell the Unlucky. He's one of my favorite guys in the lore.
So many books.
Slaughter Priest who, he's like the Charlie Brown of Slaughter Priest. He just can't, nothing goes his way. And if he's going to do a prayer, he's probably going to fail and get smoked by a corn.
That's awesome. For me, Torglug is probably my favorite character. It's the first time we ever saw a Chaos guy get turned into a Stormcast.
Yeah, he was really, really cool. What's his Tornus was his Stormcast name, right?
Yep. I'm not super crazy about the fact that with Soul Wars coming out, things just kind of move forward a bunch, and they've referenced every once in a while like Vandus and Corgus and Torgnus and all the us's apparently, but they don't show up.
Yeah,
but I like them. Like you built them up and you made them immortal, so we have a reason to follow them for forever. Where'd they go?
Yeah, I think that was one of the strengths of Warhammer Fantasy Battles. Like you had Queek Headtaker, you had you had all these really cool, iconic special characters. Now, like who are all the iconic characters in Age of Sigmar? You have Nagash, Alariel, and Gordrak, Marathi.
Yeah. Gordrak hasn't actually done a whole lot in the books, though. I mean, well, he did a lot in a few books, but not like a mover and shaker like Nagash is.
Yeah. There's some also rounds like Festus the Leash Lord. Like, who cares about him? There's like guys who you don't care about. Like, wow, you have a ton of special characters who I don't care about. But, or like Valkyrie the Bloody. Who cares about? Does she show up in anything? Scar the Spawn character. You have all these also Rands, but I think we need more iconic guys. Like, it seems like they're toning down on special characters. Like for the Chaos, they didn't even get one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the Gloomspit, they got that, what's his name?
The Loon King.
Yeah, Loon King.
Troggett.
No. It's just the Loon King.
He's only named character.
Yeah. And I wish they would bring back just repurpose old models. I'd because they had that Troll King guy. If they could have used him in this army for something else, he could just be or you might just take him as a unit like champion because he's a beautiful model. And for them,
dude.
like, yeah, sorry, but again, they probably have to put him in plastic because they're trying to get away from Finecast.
But are they though? Because the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is still Finecast.
Don't bring up points that contradict mine.
Yeah. I hear your argument, and I refuse to acknowledge it.
I'm gonna pull a Jess.
Exactly. Yeah.
So ignore it.
That's my favorite.
Are you gonna use this?
Yeah, I gotta say, here's a few characters that stood out to me. Yeah, I don't know. Unsurprisingly, my favorite characters are Chaos ones who are on like their little path of glory. Like Korgus Cole climbing his Tower of Skulls in the beginning. I was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on with Age of Sigmar lore, but I understand this part. You know what I mean? Like, I was super.
He wants to be the best. He wants to become a demon.
Yep.
And all he needs is Vandus Hammerhand's skull, or he just needs turned out to be just a Stormcast skull to put on top, and then I can become a demon. Which you'd think there'd be less demon princes if you have to do all that to become a demon prince. Well, there'd be like there's tons of demon princes. You think there'd be mountains of skulls everywhere.
Actually, Mission Impossible. That's the same as saying you need a Seraphon skull and they disappear because they're just memories. Whereas the Stormcast get reforged. So
not always. He was able to get one with his reality splitting axe. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, certain weapons can do it. I'm not sure what the logistics are on that one. They're a little fuzzy, but
it's one of those. What is this? MacGuffin or thing? Whatever they need at the time, they can find it.
Yep. Yeah, it'll do Ex Machina. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, I got my plot armor. You can't mess with me.
Yeah.
They have a rule until it needs to be broken, and they will give you a nice item that lets you break that rule. This is a Stormcast killing weapon, but we just encountered the Stormcast. I knew they'd be coming, so I created this.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't like that model because he killed my Troglodyte.
He's definitely something you have to be wary about. Is the Mighty Lord of Corn on Foot, because he can kill anything in the game. One of the
yeah, man.
Just do one wound.
Yeah, one of the only models that can kill anything. Can kill Marathi, can kill Nagash, can kill anything with one hit.
Nagash can do it with a spell.
Oh, yeah, that's Nagash. Nagash has a better odds of doing it, but I think him and Nagash might be the only ones.
Yeah, there's very, very, very few things that can auto kill. Yeah, I love it.
It happened.
Let's see here. Stephen Chan said Korgus, I think, made an appearance in Malign Portents. I don't remember that. I didn't honestly, full disclosure, I didn't read every single Malign Portent story. They were coming out so fast.
I didn't either. Katetsu read them to me.
That's where I go for all my lore. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. I wait every 3 months. He puts out a couple.
Exactly. Yeah.
Get caught up, son.
That's funny.
Shots fired.
Oh, he's a nice guy. We message each other on Facebook.
I love his accent. It makes it sound official.
Yeah, for sure. There's a Harry Potter in there. Belliamos when I'm watching news video. I like Tetsu. I just like he just.
I was listening to him last night.
He really needs to make some T-shirts though that says "As I predicted."
Yeah. That's funny. Let's see here. What does the Archeon model look like post Slanesh? I don't think. Because there's no Slanesh head on Archeon.
Yeah. What's it? Morgor? What's his name? The steed. Dorgar.
Dorgar. I think that's it. His used to be a horse, but is not a horse any longer.
Yeah.
I don't know. That'd be kind of cool.
Whatever he did happens, hopefully Slanesh gives him another ring.
Yeah, I won't give you an extra head for your mount, but I will give you this weapon that actually does things. Thanks, man.
Just finished 5 Ungors, 30 more to go. Good luck, call friends.
Oh, wait, what do you say?
Yeah, just finished 5 Ungors, 30 more to go. Are you batch painting all 30 at the same time?
Do it. Embrace the madness like I do.
Don't do it. I did 20 blood reavers, and I was like, I think I'm going to quit this game.
Does a Google search for nearest chess tournament instead.
I enjoyed that.
That's awesome. I'll open it up here. Does anyone have any questions for us as we're just sitting and chilling and painting and stuff? Go ahead and write question in all caps on there so I know to look for it. Let's see here. I was just finishing up some Hearthguard Berserkers for Fire Slayers. So many Fire Slayers to go. That is a 100% Horde army.
All right, this is before ink and highlight and everything. The base coat is done. So this is
nice.
what it's basically going to look like. The color scheme I have for my Stormcast, there are Anvils of the Heldenhammer, but I live in Seattle. And so I decided to paint up my, here's a Castigator. I decided to paint them with my local football team, Seattle Seahawks. And they have like this neon green and blue. So
looks awesome. To which I was like, hey, Jack, what colors do you use for that? And I put a shield of one of those on my Hearthstone, and I love it. It's my favorite thing.
Jerk. Pre-wash it. I like it.
Let's see. What do you think will come of Skirmish? Right now, nothing.
They just re-released rules, right? I hope they keep adding with the new White Dwarfs coming out. I hope they like, okay, here's Skirmish. Now here's Skirmish with like Skirmish campaign with experience points. So you can buff your guys up and make it like a narrative. But we did a Skirmish campaign for rerolling ones, and we couldn't wait to get it over because it was it's just not what we anticipated. It was just supposed to be a holdover because we were going to do Firestorm, and that never came to fruition. So it was just like we wanted to pull the plug so many times because just people. I'm not into Skirmish, and so I don't watch Skirmish battle reps. And if I don't watch them, but I watch battle reps, there's got to be a ton of other people who don't watch them as well because I'm so awesome. Skirmish, hopefully these new rules take it to the next level, but I just think it was a miss to begin with. I think it was something to get new people into the game, and it's good. It's useful for that, I think. But I already had an army by the time Skirmish came out, so I can't really say as a new person coming to the game if Skirmish is helpful or not.
Totally. For me, I'm going to do a full review of the Skirmish rules in White Dwarf this week. But to put it briefly, it needs so much more than what's in there. When you look at something like Kill Team, they built Kill Team from the ground up. Like there's a lot of similarities to 40K, but the fact that they limited what units you could actually take and gave each quote unquote army its own flavor, like they all have their own kind of stratagems equivalent and that kind of stuff. Like they put real work into it. I think the biggest important thing is that there's some units you just can't take. And that matters because some stuff is super broken at very low point levels for AOS. It doesn't have much there in terms of campaign growth and experience and that kind of stuff. I think you're just better off playing Paths of Glory if you're looking for something small. But it's rough because I want to like it. I really do. It doesn't have a lot of the stuff that makes things engaging and fun. it gets very samey after 2 or 3 games. It's great for teaching people the game, though, I would say. Like in terms of just if someone's never played a miniatures game, moving models, rolling dice, that kind of stuff.
But here's one thing that seems like it's deceptive, but it's not true because you think, oh, skirmish, it's not going to take very long.
Mm-hmm.
Because every single model is its own unit, it usually takes just as long.
Totally.
But it is cheaper.
It is in fact cheaper.
I hated the game mechanics, but I love the barrier to paint. You know? So like what you have to have painted to play. I don't think I have one fully painted model, but I could get a skirmish one together.
That's awesome. Let's see here. What is your least favorite army to play against?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Assuming you're using your main army. I assume that's what he means.
Okay, I know there's an army that I'm scared to play against with my Stormcast thing. I'm scared to play against Night Haunt because my army really depends on high rend shooting, and they're just like, they don't care. They bring all your high rend. We get to ignore that. But one of my old armies that I hated to play against, it was I hated playing against Beast Claw Raiders because the stuff I had just, they just would run into me and kill everything I had, and it was just something I'd always lose against. But before you kind of like the Dirty Snowball, as Mini Wargaming calls it, the Frost Lord on Thunder Tusk, that 2-up 6 mortal wounds is something when you're a new player, you're like, wow, how is this even in the game? But when you figure out ways to, okay, if I hurt him, it goes to D6, which is totally different than 6.
Yep.
So it used to be Beast Claw Raiders for me. I hated playing against them. I'd always lose. What about you, Jeff?
Things that I hate playing against.
Celestar Ballista?
Say what?
Celestar Ballista?
Anything that makes me feel like I'm not really participating. Like if there's a ton of minus to hit modifiers and I'm just rolling a bunch of dice that are not doing nothing, I'm not having a fun game experience. Which I think has more to do with like the design of those armies than my opponent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But because at that point I just don't feel like I'm participating, which is kind of the biggest thing for me.
What about you, Josh?
It would have to be like Nurgle.
Nurgle?
Yeah,
Nurgle.
They're too resilient.
Too resilient.
I mean, they got them big old drones, and then on top of that, they can roll a 1 and bring drones back when they're too hard to wound as it is. Like, bringing that model back as your battle shock test is amazing.
I got you. That's solid point. Let's see here. Zane Parks. Question, will you be adding more products to your store? Oh, yeah, I will eventually. Working on it right now, actually.
Like what?
Huh?
What are you adding?
T-shirts, designs, stuff like that. I have my Stormcast Buck and Bronco on a lightning bolt. That's kind of fun.
Oh, yeah, I like that guy.
So I'm hiring an artist to do a few more non-copyrighted designs, but they're hard, and I want to be respectful.
Any more battle rats in the future?
No, they cost an exorbitant amount of money to design and make, and I'm still trying to get rid of the first ones I have.
How many do you have left?
Huh?
How many do you have left?
I have over 100.
Well, go to 2plustough.com and get yourself a battle mat today.
Yeah, the price is going to drop pretty quick on those because I want to clear them out, so we'll do that in a little bit. I'll make a video. I'll make a post about it or whatever.
Beautiful. For the realm of death, right?
Yep. Shayish. Because there's no other mats out there that are good Shayish. Let's see here. Question. Go ahead. What?
Oh, well, I'll ask you after the question.
Okay. If a Beast Lord has the mutating Gnarl Blade artifact, does he take a wound for the first hit roll because of 1, or does he get to reroll because of his dual axes? He gets to reroll those things. I can prove it to you. I have a book right here. Hold on a second. Because it all has to do with some very important wording that my new favorite person, Sam Pearson, came up with. Let's see here. Cave Spawn. It just says pick one of the bear's melee weapons, add 2 to the damage characteristic, and if you roll a 1 to hit, he takes a mortal wound. Well, the thing is the weapon for a Beast Lord is 1 profile. Even though it's described and articulated as 2 weapons, it is exactly 1 profile, so that is what you're going to do. And so it is pair weapons in name only. And part of that ability is that he rerolls once to hit. So he is the perfect, I don't know, suicide missile for that weapon. And I use him that way, and you should too, because he's really good. Let's see. Kenzie says we should have a FEC is the best army in AOS shirt. That'd be amazing.
Okay, so the question I had, how much ballpark it was it to get a mat made, like a demo mat made for your Realm of Shyish mat?
If you already have the image, which it cost me money to get it to get an image designed, but if you are someone who can make that image on your own, it costs $100 flat.
That is interesting to me because say if you design your own mat and it would cost you $100 to get a mat that you designed or had a friend design or something, that's not much more expensive than getting a mat from a like a company that makes mats, obviously.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be interesting to do, to just, hey, I'm going to make my own mat if you're an artist, and just $100 and you have your own custom mat.
Yep.
I think rerolling ones might do that.
Yeah, dude. Is one of you guys a graphic designer?
Mark.
Oh, okay.
Mark, and he works in the gaming field, I guess. I don't go give too much of his info away. But like all the rerolling one stuff, like the dice roll and the design and all that stuff, he either did it himself or had other people he knew do it. So I know I was talking to Mark about making a custom mat. Just, I really like my corn army is from the Red Waste in Shyish.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a desert that is blood. And so I'd like to make a mat to represent that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean the company I did it with, they make demo mats super cheap, so that if you like them, you can invest.
Oh, I'd like to get that information from you, sir.
Yeah, dude. It's on Alibaba, not AliExpress, but the actual full Alibaba site.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Kenzie asked if you have any tips for focusing on corn demons.
So you get a friend named Shu, and then he paints them for you. Oh, okay, you mean fighting? Corn demons, what's that? Blood Tide? Not Blood Tide. Gosh, I can't remember the War Scroll Battalion. That was really good last edition. But it's still good. Like, people think it's garbage, but it's just not as good as Gore Tide. No.
Gore Pilgrims?
No. I can't think of the name. Murder Host. That was it.
Ah, yeah.
Host is still good. It's not almost like not game breaking, but just Gore Pilgrims was rough. I've seen it run people over who didn't know what exactly it did. It was a nasty battalion in first edition, and it's still good. And so you can't, with the changes to bloodletters, it's good and bad. Because there's so many things that give you -1 hit or negative hit modifiers. Now you have the unmodified 6 as a mortal wound, and so it's give and take. Because corn still has stuff that gives you +1 to hit, the prayers and whatnot. And so it's like it kind of sucks a little bit, but it's also kind of protects you from that ability going away. But bloodletters, you can't go wrong with them. And stay away from skull cannons. Stay away from the blood throne and the bloodthirsters. Council blood. given your Insensate Rage, the Gear Strike, and I think it's Slaughterborn or something like that, the trait, and he can just murder. Like they just Warhammer Weekly just did an episode on Khorne, and I suggest going to listen to that. They know a lot more than I do. I just kind of know a little bit of the nasty stuff, but yeah, definitely go listen to that. It's my pick of the week.
I like it. What brand of paint do we all use?
Let's see. I'll show you my paint setup here. I'll move the camera. I have a ton of paint that I don't use because I got into the game in 2017, like I said, and I just listened to Vince, and I bought all kind of stuff, and then I had an airbrush, had all this stuff, and I'm looking at these models, and I'm like, well, how come they're not painted? And then you actually have to paint stuff, and so I just have a lot of paints that I don't use.
Fair. For me, I mostly do Citadel, the DW paints, and then I have a few colors from the P3 line, mainly because I've had them since I started playing War Machine forever ago. This the teal on the tabards of all these dudes is Meridius Blue from P3, but everything else is GW. I just like the simplicity and the consistency. It's all there is to it. Can walk in, buy some models I don't need, some paints that I want, that I was actually there for.
Let's see. Mackenzie wants to know what's in Murder Host. I'll look it up for you. I know it is like a Bloodletter hero and 8, I think, Bloodletter units off the top of my head, but I will look it up.
While you're doing that, we got someone. I'm going to my first tournament in a few weeks, taking Seraphon. Ooh. You guys have any pointers or things I should make sure to do?
Yes, definitely use to your advantage. It's one of the coolest abilities in the game. What's it called? We talk about people.
Lords of Space.
Lords of Space and Time. Yes, that is it's definitely an awesome ability. My brother is a Seraphon player. He goes to tournaments. Any advice to a Seraphon player going to a tournament?
Well, Lords of Space and Time is a really, really good ability because when you're unsure of what your opponent can do, you can put your sensitive units all the way backboarded against as far away from the enemy as possible, and then just teleport them to where you need them to be. And you'll know where you need them once the game starts unfolding. So when it's time to cap objectives, it's really good. And it depends on if you want to run skink heavy or if you want to run Saurus heavy, about tactics to use. I go Saurus just because I like the models. Mm-hmm. And I put together some combos that are kind of nasty, but they have their downfall. I can wipe units out with single models, but the problem is if I run into somebody who can project so basically if somebody can shoot magic, they can stop me from doing what I want to do. But if I get into base combat, I can pretty much erase what I want to erase.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and here is Murder Host. It is 1 Bloodletter hero, so that can be like Skullmaster. The Throne is a hero, and 3 to 8 units of Bloodletters, Bloodhounds, Blood Crushers, and Skull Cannons. And this is what it does. After setup, but before the battle begins, roll 2d6. Each unit from the battalion within 8 of the battalion's Bloodletter hero and more than 3 from an enemy can move a distance in inches equal to the roll. The units cannot run or move within 3 of the enemy unit, and the distance to the hero must be measured before any of the moves are made. If the Murder Host contains the maximum number of units at the start of the battle, you can use the ability again at the start of each of your hero phase as well as after setup. And so the trick is to make sure you max out. that 8. So have, you can have 3 units of flesh hounds. They're 100 point. I mean, 8 units of flesh hounds are 100 point each, and then 1 bloodletter hero, or maybe 1 unit of 30 bloodletters, and fill out the rest with flesh hounds. And that is murder host, which getting your units at your opponent before he has a chance to react is big.
Yeah, dude. On that person who's going to their first event, I just went to my first event, my first full event recently, and what I would suggest to you as well is no matter what you see across the table, always play for the missions. I went 2-1 because I played the objectives, not because I got smashed hard in all those games. There wasn't a leg of lamb worth standing with a Beast of Chaos, but I won because a few guys I had were in the right place to claim objectives.
Yeah, and also if you're not going to know what everybody else's army does, because it's just a lot of information. But learn what your army does extremely well.
Totally. Hey, here's a very helpful video some handsome guy made about mastering your army quickly. And if you're going to your first event, I highly suggest you watch it. Basically, I made a video about ways to remember things in your army, making a list to kind of organize what it does so that you don't forget stuff at the table.
Yeah.
So that is really helpful for you because it helped me. Let's see here. There was a question. As a follower of Corn Jack, do you dislike Slaanesh or Tzeentch more?
Tzeentch? Actually, I love Slaanesh. Tzeentch, I just had bad experience playing against. I'm not a huge fan of their dice, the Destiny dice, because it's one of the biggest things in this game is chance.
Mm-hmm.
They can make crucial rolls. Things happen. In a game of chance, it's just it gives you the feel bads. And so Tzeentch definitely bottom. This is how I rank them. So I'll go Tzeentch at the bottom, then Nurgle, Khorne, Slaanesh.
There you go. I liked the Tzeentch Destiny dice stuff when I was doing Tzeentch Immortals. I didn't like it when I was doing Tzeentch Demons because it was no fun because I kept blowing stuff off the table. I wasn't giving my opponent a fun game experience kind of way.
Yes.
Is how I would say that.
That's what I lost.
Let's see here. Oh. Just getting an AOS, do you have to use GW models, or can they start with something less expensive while you're figuring out which army to play? Officially, at a Games Workshop store, you're supposed to use GW models only. In any other event, you should always ask your TO if you're going to an event, or if it's just game night, show up and explain, and I'm sure people will be cool about it. Because otherwise, some models just look better. Like Mantic zombies just look patently better than GW zombies. It's just kind of a fact of life. They're amazing looking. Let's see here. So, if anyone gives you a problem about that, just ignore them. Where is my novel? Here we go. So yeah, and even my GW store, I've messaged ahead and was like, hey, I have this model that it was the basis of it was a GW model, but it had a lot of bits. It was very heavily modified from something else I got in a trade. He was cool with it. You just gotta let him know, and ask him. Just be respectful. Store managers have policies they got to stick to as well. Okay. Question: is it bad that I put my Liberators on 32 millibases rather than 40?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, also it depends. If you're playing with your friends, it should be fine. But yeah, you kind of want to it's better to go bigger than smaller, I guess. But yeah, you definitely want to try to get it on the right base.
The smaller the base, the bigger the advantage. So it's just like not fair is what it is. You can pile more guys in. They're already too powerful. So
Liberators, man, come on.
Hey.
If it, yeah. You're talking to the Salt King. Salt King.
I got probably about 5 teeth left, 3 in my mouth and 2 in my pocket after dealing with them liberators.
According to Josh, blood warriors are the strongest unit in the game. You should hear him talk about blood warriors and how amazing they are.
And when we can get back to Nurgle, I don't like how they're not demons. What qualifies as a demon then? When you look at those, like those Blight Kings, how are those not demons? Like,
he just wants his stuff.
My Seraphon
to
do
more
well
damage.
against chaos demons. And you should just say chaos.
You're never gonna, if you're new to AOS, you're never gonna find a Seraphon player who's satisfied. That's just one thing you're not gonna. Seraphon players are always salty. Their stuff always needs to be better than it is. Even when the book comes out, they're gonna have problems.
We should just have like Josh's salt corner. Like the, you know what grinds my gears?
Age of Joshmar, man.
Yeah, I got you.
Source Guard have 2 wounds. Everything else is a demon.
Why does a champion Source Guard only have a 4-up save?
Oh, that's funny.
When the regular one can have a 2-up save. Well, the better I get, the worse my armor
he
is.
started. It's gonna be like this for the rest of the night.
That's funny. Oh, here we go. Josh's grudge corner was suggested.
Yeah,
I got that. My own book of grudges.
Yeah.
I started as a dwarf player.
As a Seraphon player, I sadly can't disagree. But then again, I think I'm just bad at the game. No, he's got to learn. He's got to learn. I mean, if you legitimately, like seriously, if you haven't seen that video where I suggest ways to get better very, very quickly, I really do recommend checking it out, because I think most of the time we think that we're bad players, but we just forget stuff because our brains are overwhelmed.
Yes.
And that video tackles that subject head on. But yeah, I've met very few people who are legitimately bad players. Like, Mark is bad at rolling dice. He is a human that is bad at rolling dice. Because his 1s and 0 rates are just abysmal. Like, he's so good at playing, and he'll explain what he's doing. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I would do against that. Like, he knows what's up. But it doesn't matter if all you roll is 1s. You're like, oh no.
Yeah, with the Seraphon though, I love them.
We moved on from Seraphon. He started. You have to mute my mic. It's just gonna be this for the rest of the show.
I love it.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
It doesn't matter. I love it.
We're gonna be signing off. He's like, and one more thing. Slans is garbage.
Best army.
Why they nerf Lord Croak? I bought a little Bell and Vortex, and they made me waste money.
Oh my gosh! Did you do that back in the day when it was the thing?
Yeah, I did buy it, and then they nerfed it.
He never actually did croak NATO because he actually likes his little brother a little bit, but he knew of its existence, but he never fielded it against me.
Yeah, I felt bad because I had a choice, because they're the same price for a Slan or for Lord Croak, and I thought that Lord Croak would be too cheesy.
You mean Dread Saurian and Lord Croak are the same price?
No, but I'm talking about when money wise.
Money wise, okay.
Monetarily, when I was purchasing my models and I needed a Slan, I thought that Lord Croak was too cheesy, and I didn't want to do that to my brother. And then I was so upset that I didn't do that because
How about nine long strikes?
yeah, and it was just like I was just getting torn to pieces, and I was like, I should have got Crow.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? I still love my slam model, even though I don't use them anymore because I got the special games day one. I love that model.
Okay.
What do you use as your general?
I use a slant.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes, he has the Games Day Slan from 2004.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, this is back on eBay where you can find all this stuff for cheap.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Chris has a few questions. Would you say you play more at each other's places or at your local GW? I have only played one game at my GW, I think.
Definitely play at each other, Mark's house or Shu's house or my house. And let's play games and mocks, so it would be more friendly local game store than GW.
Yep. Yeah, our local GW, I mean, at least mine went up in Linwood, doesn't have a whole lot of physical space for games. So if there's a lot of 40K players, and so if they're getting a game in, there's not a whole lot of room for us.
Like not to stereotype all GWs, but it's super pushy, man. When you go into the store, it's like let me tell you if I want to buy something. Like, don't.
It can be for sure.
They got quotas and whatnot, and I'm sure it's pressure on them. But I think Josh and we played a few games. We did a Path of Glory tournament at our Games Workshop, and it was cool. Guys were cool. It was nice to actually play. Like, again, we didn't find anybody to play the game until like months into it, and so it definitely. But I like playing at home better.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like,
the Games Workshop stores, they're just too small.
Yeah, that's what Doug was saying.
Yeah, they're just small. There's no room. It's like having a Comic-Con and people are too close together.
Yeah, and have differing levels of hygiene.
Yeah,
that's what hurt.
Mark's has always been awesome about opening his home up to games like that. I've always liked that. That's why I don't know. He was one of the reasons that I wanted to have a game room by myself, be able to do that for people.
And I accept being your first guest.
Did I come be my first guest?
Oh yeah, sure, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Set it up. When do you want to do it? Next week?
Let me double check my schedule, but that could work. Do a Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. They'll tour the game room, which really just involves standing in one place and turning around in a circle.
So yeah, where did you purchase your gaming table from?
I went on to gamemat.eu. I sent him an email. I was like, "Hey, I'm starting to get battle reports. You want me to start pimping out your stuff? You got a deal for me?" And they're like, "Yeah, pick out a gaming mat and a piece of terrain, and you get a discount on something else." And I was like, "I want that something else to be a collapsible gaming table." So I got that.
There we go.
It's a little not as sturdy as I thought it would be.
Is it better than a dry erase board on top of a table?
Yeah, it's about the same. It's on par.
Oh, it's on par. Okay, because I almost bought that same collapsible table.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's just getting it apart and put back together is a little bit of a chore. I'm sure I'll get used to it as I do it more and more. But the biggest thing is that I can store it away. But
Excellent. All right.
Let's see here.
Any questions or anything?
No, I think I'm about done. I've reached that crucial point of batch painting, where everything needs to dry all at once. And
Well,
so,
my roast is pretty much done, and I've been painting crew, and I'm ready to take a break.
cool, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining me. Everybody, thank you so much for joining all of us collectively. Had some good questions, some good chat.
We got
Everyone was
+1.
super cool. And do it.
They're founder number 1.
Oh my gosh.
Except for this list of complaints that I have.
Yeah. Okay, so we need Temple Guard needs 2 wounds. Nurgle needs to be demon. What else do we need? Anyway, everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm not gonna, but I thank you for being part of the 2+1's little thing. I love the name. Thank you, Kenzie. You are a great supporter. And keep tuned. We're gonna be getting through this narrative campaign soon.
Yeah, dude. And for everyone, we try to do these every Friday night because it's pretty much a definite time that I have. So join me next Friday as I'll be doing pretty much the same thing, probably painting some other random horde unit and going insane. So thank you all so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.